iPhone.
We're also waiting for Cindy. Stephen was going to give her a call and see what's going on because I haven't heard from her. If you can just wait just a minute to see if she's having difficulty getting on. And as soon as I hear something, I will let you know.
Okay.
Sarah, she said she should be on in just a minute.
Okay, thank you. As a reminder, since we are virtual, we will have to do roll call vote and roll call for everything tonight, like we did way back a few months ago. So every time you vote, you'll have to say your name and then how you're voting.
Okie dokie.
Okay, she's here, Mayor Tripp, if you want to go ahead.
Okay, we call the meeting to order.
Hi, I'm sorry.
Okay. Call the meeting to order. At this time, we do roll call. Madam Clerk.
Mayor Tripp,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mewburn,
Here.
Commissioner Davis,
Here.
Commissioner Ross,
Here.
Commissioner Goff,
Here.
Commissioner Langley.
Here.
Thank you.
At this time, we do like to welcome our visitors. We do have a protocol for public comments. We'll get to that. Being on the Zoom, it'd be a little bit different than we normally do in person. So we'll straighten that out when we get there. At this time, it's invocation. What I like to do is ask everyone just pray to themselves, and then we'll just end with amen if that's okay, since we on the Zoom. So this time, just have your own silent prayers. Amen.
Amen.
At this time, pledge allegiance. So we'll say pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, approve of the agenda. Mr. Manager, any changes to the agenda?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. What's the pleasure?
Make a motion.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem, second by
Commissioner Davis.
Okay.
Commissioner Davis. Okay. Madam Clerk, take roll call.
Okay. Commissioner, Mayor Pro Tem Mewburn,
Here.
just yes or no for approval.
Yes. Yes.
Commissioner Langley,
Yes.
Commissioner Goff,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next item is public comments. At this time, we do public comments. We are Zoom. So what we like to do, if you introduce yourself and your address, then we'll start the process. Yes, Madam Clerk.
Okay, I have one person that has signed up through email. She is on, so I'll let her go first if that's okay. Miss Tammy Pate. Do you want me to read what you sent me, or you're muted? I will go ahead and read what she sent while she's figuring that out. Oh, you got it. You got it.
Yeah.
Do you want me to read it, or do you want to just go ahead?
If
and
you
see
don't
it?
mind, if you will read it, that would be great.
Okay, I will. Okay, she is a resident of 4176 West Haven Avenue. Her statement is, I bought my house 17 years ago on West Haven Avenue, and during the closing, it was not disclosed to me or my husband that there is a water easement that runs through my kitchen. My husband passed away 3 years ago, and I am now trying to sell my house, and I want to see if the town can reroute this easement, as it has been there for approximately 54 years and will deter buyers from wanting to buy this property for fear of it busting. See attached photo, which Stephen, I hope can get on the screen. My house has the burgundy metal roof. I desperately need to have this issue addressed. I have talked to both the town manager and the town attorney and got nowhere with either one of them. And that's the end of her statement.
How recent has that been?
How recent has what? I'm sorry.
How recent has it been since you talked with the manager?
About a week and a half ago.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
I was
That-
given this, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was given this aerial view, and it showed where the easement could be tied in to the water line without running through my house. And so that's what I was wondering, if this could happen. And I'm also concerned for my safety if this water line blows, because what I talked to Mr. Livingston about was who covers the damage to my house or to myself if that water line busts after 54 years. And
Okay.
I was told that the town would not be held responsible for it. Well, I know that my homeowners won't cover it. And it's deterring buyers from buying my house because that easement is running through my kitchen. So
Yeah.
that's my concern.
Just to kind of throw a little my 2 cents in here. I spoke with Ms. Pate. I spoke with her realtor. It seems like a mistake was made many, many years ago. No one that's currently involved in the organization. It does seem legally the town's not bound to do this. It does seem like a mistake was made though, years and years and years ago. I believe where it left out though was Matt had reached out to Rich Moore, I think maybe, about the feasibility of moving it. So I think there have been inquiries about whether or not the town can make that move or was willing to. I don't know the status of it currently. I think this was about a week and a half ago, something along those lines. But we did make contact, and we have explored those, and I have tried to speak with Ms. Pate and her realtor about this matter.
So was a decision reached?
Not to my knowledge.
Attorney?
Sir? I think where I left off knowing anything was they were exploring the feasibility of whether or not they could move it and whether or not they wanted to. Perhaps Matt has had some more recent contact with Rich, but that was kind of the last I heard.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Manager, comment?
Yeah, we are looking into the, I don't know if you can hear me or not, but can you hear me?
Yes.
We're looking into the cost of that. It's just, we're not through looking into the cost and what the options are with that.
Okay, how soon do you need, you selling the house? What's your time period for selling the house?
It's all in the town's hands right now. I've got my realtor sitting right here beside me. And, just for moral support and to see, because she's the one who informed me of people that would not be interested in buying a house like this. There's nothing wrong with my house, but I'm waiting to see what the town does so that I can get that easement off my title insurance and off my deed, so that it can be free and cleared so we can sell this house.
Mr. Manager,
Yes,
how
sir.
soon do you think you'll be able to release some numbers to her so that we'll know how much it costs and all of this?
It shouldn't take much longer, maybe sometime this week,
Okay.
for sure.
I have a question for Miss Pate.
Yes, sir.
Miss Pate, when you bought the house, you said 17 years ago,
Yes, sir.
what did the realtor, when you bought the house, did they disclose that
No,
easement at the time you purchased the house? I mean,
no, sir. No, sir, they
so
did
they did
not.
not. Okay, so that's my concern. Was you bought the house not knowing there was an easement under the home, correct?
Yes, sir. I can tell you how I found out about the easement. We were having a hurricane one year and we saw a town truck pull up and he came up in the yard and said he was cutting the main off. And we said, the main for what? And he said, for the neighborhood. And that was approximately 7 to 8 years ago.
And so the house has been there. How long has the house been there?
It's been here, it's 66, 67. It's kind of the later years of 66.
Okay.
So the pipe is approximately 55 years old, 54, 55 years old.
Okay, so because the water, the house was built on top of the main at the time.
Yes,
it was
sir.
built.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Manager, how you want to proceed?
Like I said, we're gonna determine the cost and we'll be back with her on that. And, all these things depend on how much it's gonna cost. If it's not too expensive, we can do it. How much we have in our budget this year for maintenance and whatnot is, those are all factors that go into that.
Okay, so you'll determine the cost, and after you determine the cost, then what's the next step?
Like I said, I think the next step would be to hire a contractor, depending on, if it's not too exorbitant in terms of cost, and get somebody started on it.
Okay. Is that okay with the board?
Yeah, well, I would just like to see the manager take care of that as expeditiously as possible, because obviously the young lady is ready to move on with her life, and anything we can do as a town, I think we should try to get it done, get it out of the way.
Thank you, Mr. Muger.
Welcome, man.
And Tammy, I also agree. I think this needs to be done as expeditiously as possible. It's not something that was made aware by you or your late husband, and I'm
Yes.
sorry about that, but it was
Thank
not
you.
aware to you. And we, as a town and the governing board, we need to do whatever we can to assist you with this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Most welcome.
Okay, I think we got a plan, so we'll move on from here. If you have any more questions, get in contact with town manager.
I
And
sure
we'll
will.
get
Thank you.
later. Thank you, appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, who else wants to have a public speaking? Who else wants to speak publicly?
That's all that I had signed up, but I think there are some others on that would like to speak.
Okay, those who want to speak next, just say your name and address and we'll start the process. Anyone else? Let's give them a few minutes. I'm sorry.
Alicia Andrews,
Thank you, Miss Andrews. What's your address?
13 7th Street.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
So my name is Alicia Andrews, and I am a long-term resident of Ayden, and just really relocating back to the area. And one of the things that I am interested in is really seeing our community grow and develop more that will be completely equitable across the board. One of the things that has been a goal of mine as a health educator is to come back to Ayden, provide a service that will help to improve the community's public health as a health educator. And I'm the owner of Be Free Wellness Education and Consulting, where I focus on providing health education services as well as community support for people to offer easier access to certain services. So over the past year of being in Ayden, I recognize that, well, not even this past year, just over the years of the lack of development across the town and seeing how things are changing in the South Ayden area. I was not raised there, or my home is off of 7th Street, has always been off of 7th Street, but we have family that's in that area. And I grew up in that area, my church is in that area, And it's been very disappointing to see the lack of development in South Ayden. And as a health educator, a person that community health and equity is a huge thing, I would love to see more of an upbuild of all areas across Ayden, especially in South Ayden. Also, bringing up the issue of policing and community policing, and even just how the board handles the community and have access to the community. I would love to see that the leaders of our town be more connected with everyone in our town and opening to other individuals, as well as putting respect on individuals, particularly in the Black community, and how the Black dollar is very important in our town. So I just wanted to speak up to say that I am keeping an eye out on the town and offering different things that I would love to bring to the town, as far as bringing different resources that would help improve the health over time in our area. But one thing that I do charge is that our leadership continues to be equitable across the board and really be an understanding that there are disparities in our community that needs attention. And the only way that we can get that attention is to make sure that everybody is reached out to and that everybody has the resources that's needed to help improve and not just continue to knock things down and clear out land, but actually give people a fighting chance and offer all the resources that they need to make sure that our town continues to grow up.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate those comments. Thank you.
Can you repeat your address, please? I didn't get that.
13 7th Street.
Just 13?
13.
I'm still missing the first. Can you just, what's the first number?
2.
213. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else like to speak into public comments may do so now.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I was under the impression that you had said that we were going to move on a project to better South Ayden. I was hoping that I would find something on the agenda for tonight. Is there a reason that there's nothing regarding that on our agenda?
Mayor Pro Tem, let's go through the public comments first and we'll come back and address that, if you don't mind.
All right, let's do it.
Any other public comment? Okay, with none more, we'll close the public comments.
Public comments?
Yeah, yes, sir. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I got up here a little late. How you, Mayor?
Good to see you.
Everyone. Yeah, I'm calling. I'm coming in rather for an ordinance. I understand it's in this town of Ayden. My name is Broderick Best. I am a business owner in the town of Ayden. And when I came to Ayden back in the late 80s, I noticed that one of the beautiful things about Ayden was it had an ordinance allowing apartments upstairs. And when I came to Ayden, I ended up purchasing a building with the future and intention of having an apartment upstairs. And recently, I got my certificate and I moved myself upstairs at 4266 Lee Street. I was approached about an ordinance that has been there forever about you can't park in Ayden no longer than 2 hours at a time. And I was told it was never really a problem unless there's somebody complain about it. I'm trying to find a proper protocol that there's elderly people that live downtown. Myself live downtown. I feel like we should have the right to park downtown. We can't get up in the middle of the night and move our cars every 2 hours. So I'm trying to find the proper protocol to bring this to existence. I think this will bring people to Ayden. And I visit some of the homeowners who live upstairs. Some of them were not even aware of this ordinance. And I want to find out what can be done to protect us and future people who want to come to the town and live upstairs. What can we do to preserve our right to be able to park downtown?
Okay. Mr. Manager, any comment?
Yeah, it's a dilemma that we have, Mr. Mayor. There is parking downtown. Some of it's not very convenient for business owners and residents in every case. So I think it's something that we need to do some research on and bring a policy to you. Feel like residents need to have, this is just my opinion, some area to park in that would be sort of designated to them, or at least for their residents. And I guess when these buildings were built, that maybe wasn't something that was considered because maybe they were just thought of as strictly businesses. But it is an issue. We're gonna have to look at it and study it further.
Okay, can we add to agenda item for next month to have conversation about?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, Mr. Best, what we'll do, we'll make this part of agenda item to discuss as a board, to get all the information that we can to understand what parking downtown looks like. You did say, Mr. Manager, we do have a 2-hour ordinance.
Yes, sir, we do. And you may want to consider suspending that for residences at this point in time. I don't know how you distinguish between that, but if it's causing a problem with residents, I don't know if the issue is convenience of parking or whether there's not ample parking or what the exact issue is. I've tried to call Mr. Best several times. You need to get your voicemail not filled up so I can get back with you, but I know where your business is, so I'll come see you if that's okay, and we'll talk some.
Yeah, I'll probably have to call you. I've been in meetings for the last 2 weeks from 10 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night. And I'm sorry that I missed your phone calls. I didn't see anything missed from anybody, but I might have overlooked it. So if I could have your number, if you want me to on my lunch break, I can call you.
Okay.
If that'd be good.
Sure.
Is it possible to get your number now, or how would
I don't mind giving you my number. It's 919.
Okay.
495-1964.
51564.
No, 919-495-1964.
Okay. All right. I put that down.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Best.
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Best, can I get your address, please?
My address is 4266 Lee Street
Okay, thank you.
in the big city of Ayden, North Carolina, 28513.
Thank you.
I would like to interject something, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, quick.
I think you were on board at the time. If I'm not mistaken, we did a traffic study about 2.5, 3 years ago, didn't we? Yeah. So it should be some recent information somewhere for you, Mr. Manager.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And I have a suggestion, if I may.
Yes, Commissioner Goff.
There's a couple of things we can suspend, like the 2-hour parking after certain hours of the business day.
Yeah.
Or we could consider permits, not to charge for the permits, but permits for residents to be able to park in certain areas near their residence. Because we do have buildings in town that we would like to convert to like apartment dwelling or studio dwelling or whatever. So these might be areas in which we can incentivize by allowing some kind of permit parking. So that these are a couple areas I'd like for us to explore.
Yes, ma'am, we will. And one of the things I will do is I'll meet with Stephen and Nina, our new downtown development Main Street person, and they've been talking to people downtown. So we'll get their input and have them do the research as well.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other comments, Mr. Manager?
No, sir.
Anyone else in public hearing? Or public forum, I'm sorry. Seeing there is no more, we'll go on to next item. Next item is presentations, the Ayden mini salary study for the police department, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last month, the board directed me to look at comparative salaries of police departments in our region. And I did some work on that, and with the help of the HR, and did some summaries and some findings. And if Stephen will put some of the graphs up on the board, hopefully we can show those. This is just a very rough breakdown of some of the what the main issue is. If we go to slide 2. So, our biggest issue right now is been recruitment and retention. The biggest problem with recruitment right now is supply and demand. Simply put, there's a lot more demand for police officers than there are supplies. If you look at the BLET schools and things like that, the numbers are way down. So, and then the officers that are here are taking advantage of some higher pay elsewhere, since those departments themselves are short. So they're, in some cases, kind of siphoning off those that are working here for higher pay. And those, specifically the big three of those are Pitt County, City of Greenville, and Winterville. And so the main question we have is, do we need to, or should we raise the salary of the police department and go from there to try to ease this issue that we're having? If you go to the next slide. So this is basically the regional competition. And we looked at things 3 different ways here. We looked at regional competition. These are ones that basically pay, or in the region and pay very similar to us, if not more. In this case, Ayden is kind of in the middle at 37,323, whereby the average is 39,123. Again, the big 3, Pitt County, Winterville, and Greenville, all pay substantially more than we do. Go to the next slide. So this is other regional. I've titled that as it's basically taken some of the area around that's not just Ayden. So there's other areas here, and kind of looked at what does a regional average look like. And again, right there, we're just a little bit above the regional average, but that includes a few smaller towns as well as some larger towns. So I think it's a good cross section of where we're at with that. And the final one is the selected statewide average. And if you start looking at that, again, we're kind of in the median. I did a pay and classification study, and my recommendation for a town that was paying officers around 30,000 starting out was around 37,000. Does that mean that, we're okay? No, it doesn't mean we're okay, because we have competition right here that's paying 43,000. And so, but the big issue for us is, how do we keep them here once we hire them? And that's an issue I think we're starting to address with our merit pay system and some of the other things that we're looking at, like, career paths for various departments and for officers within the department. And so we're looking at a bunch of different ways. And there's other ways we can look at things. For example, police officer of the quarter or things like that, maybe bonuses. But if we look at raising the pay, I would recommend at least going up to the average, maybe a little bit above the average of that 39,323 of our, or 39,000. I'd have to go back. Can we go back to the other slide, Stephen? 39,123, at least in that range. But the biggest question we have right now is how would we finance this? It's a recurring expenditure. That's the one issue, is how we finance it. The next issue is if we do something like this. A few years ago, we did a study. I don't know how effective it was, but it did raise people's salaries. And I would be reluctant to want to pay one department more without at least promising or pledging to the other parts of the organization that we're going to look at their salaries as well. And so that's because if we don't, we just say that, this is the only one we're concerned about right now, then it's kind of, it puts a sour taste in some people's mouths, and we have other issues within the organization that need to be addressed as well. Our salaries aren't bad here. It's just, there's always room for a little bit of improvement. And that's what we're trying to do right now, I would say, with what we've got with our merit pay system and trying to do cost of living adjustments that are probably a little bit better than some of our competition so that we can play catch up. That's all I've got. I'll answer any questions right now.
Any question to manager?
I have a statement. The increase that he alluded to a few minutes ago, the effect that it had on our employees, it was a very positive effect because it made them feel that that they were appreciated. And I do agree with the manager. If we give one department, and from what I can honestly see, they something need to be done, you know, to retain them. It's a very, very touchy situation. And I be honest with you, I really don't know how to solve it. I really don't.
Mr. Manager, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I mean, this is something that's old and something that's been around for years. And it goes back from, of course, my military duty, as far as pay scales are concerned. And it's a way to budget it also, because we're hearing a lot of where some of the officers have been here for 10 years and they're making the same pay, other than they get COLA increases and things like that. But I think that since most of our pay classifications are based on grade, we have different, titles for their grade that the employees are in position, and including the police department, that we can always come up with a classification for time and service, like how long they have been here and their position, whether it be if they advance to, leadership position, or whether, for instance, a police officer is an officer until he makes sergeant. So, and an officer with 8 years in, 4 years in other words, each time they progress in time, they go up in pay. And as we have those numbers in front of us, we can always budget for that based on longevity and how long they've been in the position. And that can go for every department based on the positions and time on the job or time in service. So, and then we would be able to budget that if we got the numbers together. And again, I don't have the numbers, but there is an option to go, because that's what I am hearing, is that we've had employees who've been here for 8 years, 10 years, whatever, and the pay doesn't match their time, or their experience. So that may be a way to take a look at it. And that's something that like I said, in the military, it's based on rank, time in service. So once you receive, you move up in position, of course you make more money, but also it's based on the time you've been there. So you're paying for that experience also. So it's just an idea.
Right. And you're absolutely right, Commissioner. There is what we call compression within the pay scale at the top, because our salary ranges aren't wide enough. And also at the bottom, because again, for years and years, there wasn't a vehicle, whether it's time in service or merit pay, to move people along the pay scale. We can certainly look at the years in service, and I do understand that, being in the military. I haven't seen that applied in the public sector as much, but I know it has been applied somewhere, so we can look into that. It's not a bad idea whatsoever. But right now we're faced with I guess the challenge, and the chief's very concerned, and rightfully so, of losing more officers. We're right at the point where, and so that's the dilemma we're at right now. If we're going to do the step system, is what they sometimes refer to that too, but I like to refer to it as time and grade, like you said with the military. That would take a little bit of time to kind of reconvert it for it. Would have to be something we'd have to do with the start of a new budget year, I would think. But I just wanted to show you this research that was done, just to give you an indicator of where we are. Well, we're not, the good news is we're not horribly off the mark. The bad news is we live in a very competitive area. That's good, bad news in terms of, these cities like Greenville and Pitt County, and it's not a city of Winterville, they have the ability to pay more so than we do. And it's not that we can't pay, it's just, it's easier for them to do it. They have more resources. So I don't have, I'm like Mayor Pro Tem Mover, and I do not have the answers. It's whether or not we want to make the commitment, and but I would say if we do make the commitment to move the salaries with the police department, that we'd also make at least an attempt to do other departments. And if you divide the town up into thirds, you'd have operations, you'd have the police department, and basically everybody else, admin, finance, planning, other things.
Any other questions?
I have an additional comment.
Okay.
I really appreciate what has been presented to us and the way it's been presented. You know, we're in a time where, as the study showed, that the attractiveness of security and police work isn't where it has been in the past, but also a lot of job positions aren't where they were or as lucrative as they were in the past or as attractive as they were. I do feel we're, you know, there is a really fine line because every one of our staff in Ayden is very important. And it doesn't matter what position our staff has. They're very important to us and need to be paid for the work that they do and for the contribution that they make to our town. It's how do we do that with the limited funds that we have? So I think we're really, you know, we're really at a point where it's difficult to be equitable to all. And we're really in a tough situation. So I appreciate what has been presented to us. Those are my comments.
Thank you, Commissioner Goff. Anyone else? I think Commissioner Ross, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I agree with Commissioner Goff. I do appreciate the presentation of what you've come up with. I know we're in a very difficult time. Some years ago, I know the police officers got a raise and they were given part of it, and they were told that they were going to get the rest of it, which, as far as I understand, they never got that, the rest of it. And had that been done earlier, we may not be in this situation now that we're in. I understand the predicament. We don't have the money. And also understand that the police officers are leaving us and because they can get more pay, and you can't really blame them for that. So it's a bad situation, and I don't know the answer. I wish I had a magic wand. I could wave a wand and we could give everybody a raise, which they so well deserve. But I don't know the answer. Maybe Commissioner Langley's suggestion would be a way to go. I don't know. But I do know that the police officers are very deserving and that they do work hard as well as our other employees, and they do put their life on the line. So those are my comments.
I have a comment if Commissioner Ross is done.
Okay.
I'm finished. I'm sorry.
Mayor
Okay,
Pro Tem.
no problem. It's kind of out of the box in a sense, but I respect what the chief has already brought to our attention. But in addition to that, I would like to have our current officers do a survey based on, for us to do a survey based on the recommendations that the manager, I think it's 6 of them, has already presented, and just to see how they feel, because at the end of the day, it's not just how we feel, it's how they feel. And I think that way we can kind of, I know they want more money just like all of our employees, but I think it's going to give us some type of direction that we don't have at this juncture if they could do a little survey based on the recommendations that our manager has already set forth. And in addition to that, if we bring some other officers in, let them do the survey too, and maybe that could kind of, help us. That's my 2 cents worth.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Anyone else? I think so first of all, I think everyone has recognized the importance of all our team members that work for the town of Ayden. And every one of them is valued. I mean, everyone's important. And so no one's different than the other as far as the value sense. of the town of Ayden. So I want me to clarify. Everyone's valuable. What in my occupation, in my work area, dealing with people I deal with, it's mostly driven by market study. What's the market for that job description or that job duty? So it's driven by the market. And I think that's what driving the police department right now is the market is the fact there is competition. The supply is not there to fill in vacant positions. And so we have created a market where it's the price of the salaries are escalating up a little bit for people to attain good officers because the supply is down. And that's due to the environment we live in today where people don't appreciate our police officers like they did 5 or 2 or 3 years ago. And that's unfortunate. And everyone should be appreciated, not police officers, but everyone. So I hate that. The question that the chief brought in is he has an exit of police officers moving out of the town due to salary negotiation. And so, and the manager did a good comparison of different towns very similar to us, and found out that we're like in the middle of the pack, comparable to everyone else. And what's above us are towns or communities that has a population maybe 2 to 3 or 4 or 20 times larger than us. And of course, they have to have more police officers. I do know that also. That may offset some. So with that said, the question is, and I'm sorry. And the other question is, how does our other team members feel if we give one segment or one department an increase due to a market study, whereas they don't do that? And so that's, to me, it's a question. How's the fairness, equitable way of doing it and be fair to everyone, et cetera? And we did a market study almost 5-6 years ago in which we did a pay classification study similar to what Commissioner Lane was talking about, looking at all levels of the pay classification and looking at all steps according to experience and years of service and longevity, and to differentiate those per se. Our steps, and I think someone mentioned this, it was, I think, Commissioner Ross, was that there was supposed to be like a 1.5% increase or 0.75% increase each year beyond the cost of living due to keep us in line with the classification study stepwise. And I know several years we did that. So a 2% cost of living, then we added like a 1 to 1.5%. At that moment of that period of time when that person went to the next level in the salary pay classification. I think that's what hurt us. I think Commissioner Lane, whoever said it was correct, I think Ross, I'm sorry, that we didn't do that. And that's what got us behind. So to me, the question is, how bad are we with the police department as far as personnel? No, one, how is it an urgent situation? And number two, I think, we need, if we're going to do a pay classification study, market study, we need to do it for all team members. And I think that's the fairness. And so, and truly, the study that the town manager done is very excellent done, but a market classification study will be more in detail than this per se. It will include those, like Commissioner Langley talked about, the levels of experience and years of longevity. So the question to me, Mr. Manager, how bad is it for the police department?
Well, I think it's a serious situation, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. The chief could elaborate on that more. All departments, almost all, are experiencing shortages right now. So I think we're gonna have to think creatively on how to deal with that issue if it gets even worse. If we have to contract with other places, I don't like that idea, but it's something that we might have to do. I would defer to the police chief to kind of give us his thought, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, the current situation is right now is that we're 3 officers down, and probably more than most likely by sometime in October, I'll be another officer down that's leaving for Winterville PD. That cuts the patrol division down 1 position per shift. So right now we usually run 3 officers per shift, per 12 hours to cover the town of 5,000. So what we've had to do is go back to where when I first started, then there's 2 officers working each shift per 5,000. And we have part-time officers filling in as much as we can. But you know, it's more or less right now you're crossing your fingers and hope nothing bad happens, which ain't a good thing to be. And the fact, you know, we can't keep being the training ground for other police departments and agencies in the area. I mean, that's always the town has always been. They stay here for 2 or 3 years and they go to bigger, better, you know, I'm not going to say better departments, but bigger departments that pay more. You know, we've lost 3 to Beaufort County in the last year. We've lost 1 to the sheriff's department. We've had 2 that retired. 1 went to Homeland Security in the federal side of it, and 1 left for the private sector and went to do welding. You know, it's just hard to compete with other agencies when they're paying that much. And as I told Matt this afternoon, you know, I've had two experienced officers that were coming from the western part of the state that I offered jobs to, but we were just shy of where they would sign the dotted line and come on board with us. And I just happened to see last week that one of them went to the sheriff's department instead. I mean, that's the situation we're in.
Okay.
I have given the chief, so just so you know, and I support his ability to negotiate with people, even though there's a starting pay of X. They certainly can negotiate well within that sliding salary scale.
Yeah. Okay. So, Mr. Manager, what's your recommendation?
Well, I was really kind of hoping I'd get some direction from the board other than my recommendation is, though, that, you know, we go back and we look at this as a whole for the next budget year. But for now, I think the big thing is just understanding that if we need to, we're just going to have to work with our existing officers and try to keep them here somehow. I don't know that if we raise the salary, I couldn't guarantee you that we would solve the problem right away. Because the problem is, like you mentioned, it's supply and demand. There's not a lot of supply and a lot of demand. So even the Pitt counties and the Wintervilles and Greenvilles are short people too. So that's the dilemma.
So if I may just, and this is not saying I recommend this. This is me saying, just thinking. So just make sure everyone understands that. The differential between the 39,123 and our pay of 37,323 is $1,800. And so if you got 20 officers, that'd be $36,000.
We have 23. We did the math on this. It was going to be around $75,000 with benefits and everything else.
So $1,800.
It was basically a lot of the other supplemental benefits and uniforms and everything else. And, you know, it costs a lot to, well, when we get a new one, I guess we've already got that budgeted with existing ones, but
so what I'm
on the high end.
So yeah, what I'm saying is, if we gave everyone, and again, this is not my recommendation. This is me thinking out, just getting information. If we give everyone $1,800 times 20 is $36,000. Then you got to add Social Security and tax on that, which would be another 15%. That would be making it 41,000. That should be it. I mean, just about. And that part at the most 45,000. That would be the cost of doing that. Would that make a difference? We gave people $1,800. That would eliminate the compression issue that's been talked about, because everyone gets the same increase. Or would it help at all?
It wouldn't help the compression issue. I mean, it would help with obviously getting people more money. You know, I'd want to drill down on those numbers because it's 23 people all in all, because we have the dispatchers and we couldn't leave them out. So, you know, even say $50,000, it would certainly help. So I'm not opposed to anything like that. I just wanted you to realize that we have other departments too, and they're going to wonder, you know, are you going to do for me? You just did for them.
Yes.
And they're going to say, okay, well, it makes you look, is one department more valued than another? I'm just throwing these things out either because I think that I'm a little concerned about that. I don't know if we'd have some kind of commitment to the other departments and the other areas that we were going to do the same with them in the next budget or whatever, then that would make me feel a little bit better about that. If we were to say we're going to do a complete pay and classification study, we're going to try to implement it and go from there.
And again, this is my thinking out loud. I think everyone should be, the market study should be for everyone. I was just looking at, if we did this, then we come back and do market study for everyone else. But if we want to do it all together, either way, I'm good. Just talking out loud.
Yeah, and in addition to that, I feel those recommendations, maybe the language need to be changed just a little bit for our other departments. But what I'm trying to convey to you guys is that it'll give us an insight kind of to the way that they feel. And that's going to be important as far as retaining them goes. And I wasn't just talking about police department, all of our employees. That way we'll have some data, and then we can put that data against some other data that the manager may have. And I think it's going to help us to come up with a better solution if we involve them and that, what their perspective, we got to give some respect to their perspective. And I think that will help them, and it will show them in the meantime that we care, and that's important. All of that, that's my 2 cents worth. I'm done. Did I go out? Hello?
And I tend to agree, Mayor Pro Tem and Mayor Tripp. I think we need to be in consideration of all of our departments. The other thing that we need to consider is that without our police force, if we're diminished to the point where we're bare bones, then we're not helping our community, and we're not helping even the rest of our staff in security and safety. So, we're really in a catch-22 here with funding and with the fact that police work, security is not a favorable occupation right now. So it's going out to the ones that can compete the highest with everyone. So it's really a difficult thing, and I don't know the answer either. I agree with Commissioner Ross and all the other commissioners that have spoken. We are really in a tough situation. We want to support our police force. We want to have safety and security, but we also want to support all the rest of our staff that work really hard and deserve to be compensated for the work that they do. However, we have to base that on the availability of funds that we have as a town. So I don't know what the answer is either.
Mr. Manager.
Yes, sir.
How many departments do we have in the town of Ayden?
We have about 9 departments. We have HR, planning, operations has several smaller sub departments underneath them, the police, finance, admin. So 8 or 9.
Okay, well,
break it up.
See, my thinking is, I'm thinking along the same terms that the mayor is. Look, let's put them all up under one umbrella and go on and give them a raise, and let's be through with it. And those that leave, they just had to leave, because no matter how much we pay them, there's gonna always be somebody else that can pay them more.
Okay.
That's my 5 cents.
Mr. Manager, I got a question too. Is Chris, you getting ready to say something? Is Chris Forehand getting ready to say anything? His name is up here. I was wondering.
No, I can if you need me to.
No, your name. I see your name. I thought maybe you were going to say something. looking at the classification or the study that you did, Matt, Farmville and Kinston both are actually starting salary is under what we pay. How are they doing?
I haven't talked with them personally. So I couldn't answer that question. One of the things about doing a pay and classification study is you don't just look at the pay. That's only a small component of that. Job classification means you're going to go in there and make sure the job classification properly aligns with what the employee's duties are doing. So that's why that is needed for us. And if we go the route of looking at that, we need to do it the right way. And it's very much a market-driven study. But this glimpse of the market, and the glimpse of the market is, it's just like you said, it's like the mayor said, these big boys, I was in Rollsville and we did one, and we paid our police officers. It was a revolving door. We paid them quite a bit more actually than, or right at what Raleigh was doing. And it did solve the problem for a little while, but it wasn't just pay. That's one thing that I want to emphasize with this, because we get, and I think we all know this, the chief runs a great department here. We have got excellent officers. I think one of the reasons why they're going places is because people are recruiting them because of the environment we're in. But a department is much more than just the salary that, somebody gives, and the town's benefits are very, very important. So we have to look at the whole thing holistically, and that's what a pay and classification does. A good one will look at benefits too. And I just wanted to put that out there to you. But as far as Farmville goes, and we're right there with it. I like to think of Farmville as so I don't want to get anybody upset here, but they're kind of like our sister city in terms of, they're a lot like we are.
I think we lost the mayor.
Well, Sarah, go find him.
I think he's lost out there in cyberspace somewhere.
Commissioner Langley.
Yes.
I can speak a little bit about Farmville PD just because me and the police chief over there are kind of close. I don't think that he's quite as shorthanded as what we are, but where Farmville has differed from, even though our starting pays are pretty much exactly the same, where you were talking about the time and experience in that position, they have been paying that all along for these amount of years. So somebody that has been there for 10 or 15 years is probably making somewhere around $50,000 a year, where somebody here with that amount of experience as a patrol officer is still making less than $45,000 a year. And that's why I brought up Jenny Clark at the last meeting, because she's been here for over 10 years and she can leave and go to Winnable and make more money as a regular police officer, not as a corporal or anything, just a regular street officer.
Let me just add
that's the problem with that.
Let me just add to that there hasn't been that vehicle to really move people along. That's why I'm saying, as an organization, the use of the merit system does that. That's why that's so important. And it does that in theory, not based on, they can factor in seniority, but it's not an automatic that you get it because you've been here so many years. We use longevity as another side of that pay coin for that. The longevity isn't a whole lot, but it does recognize years of service. So we do have within our pay system a way to recognize longevity. It's something that most organizations are kind of moving away from. They're moving more to a merit system where, your pay is for your performance and not for, okay, you're just there, breathing air. I mean, I know that's not what's going on here, but that's just a saying.
Mayor Pro Tem, the mayor has lost connection. He's going to try to get back on, but he says continue on. So If you'll just take over until he can get back logged in.
Okay, let me get my computer going just right. All righty, hold on. So, Mr. Manager, what do you think our next steps should be from here? As far
Well,
as,
if the board chooses to implement it, that, you know, and we'll look at finding a way to pay for it, you know, and I'm fine with that. But I really want a commitment from this board that you're not going to do it just for one department. That
right,
you're going to make a commitment to do a pay and classification study. And that point in time, we might not have to use the PD, but we could look at the whole organization, because it would be cheaper without looking at the PD, but we probably should look at the whole organization to see how accurate we are at that point in time. But do one for the whole organization. That's my stance on this. If you're going to do for one, we need to do for
do
all.
for all.
If we can't do
Yeah,
for all right now, and we're only due for some right now, then we have to at least make the commitment that we're going to do. This is our priority. And I don't want to tie the board's hands, but it's not really, it's kind of a problem, you know. If you're a parent and you have 5 or 6 kids and you're going to do for one of them, you know how the rest of them are going to feel. So we got to, and that's a bad analogy, I know, but we got to try to be equitable, do the right thing by everybody.
And
And
so,
no
go ahead, I'm sorry.
better than
Go ahead, Commissioner Goff.
And I really think that we all agree across the board. I think we all agree that should be equitable among all departments and all staff. You know, everyone needs to be or deserves to be paid for the work that they do. Because we haven't been doing the pay scales for and forgive me for I'm at a blank right now, but for you know, the work that they do, not just the longevity, but actually to have or to be paid for the service that they provided. If we haven't been doing that, then, you know, we really should have been building that into our budget. And I'm sorry that if we haven't. And so I agree with the town manager, and I think the whole board agrees also that we need to be looking at this across the board for all departments and all staff.
Do we need to take a vote on that?
There is
You
one
think?
thing, yes, I think you do. And then there's one thing too that's very important going forward. And this is just not an issue right now, but it's definitely going to be an issue as we start looking towards the new budget year. And that is inflation. Inflation is a huge issue right now, and it's going to continue to be a huge issue for the foreseeable future. So we need to be aggressive, you know, when we do these things. And we start budgeting next year, because inflation is going to be, when we look at our cost of living adjustment, it should be at a minimum based on the CPI. But we also have to look at the competition around here and see what they're doing as far as COLAs, because we do lose people to other organizations, and we are in an urban environment that's growing. So there is going to be competition for all our employees. So keeping the best staff you can keep has to be one of our top priorities. I'm done.
Well, I agree with it. Go ahead. Is somebody else weighing in? Someone else? I agree with everything that's been said, but I'm going back to a statement that you made, Mr. Manager. We have to start somewhere. And I would like to include all of our employees at the same time, but maybe we just can't at this time to start doing the study. We're in a bad spot. We are, Mr. Manager, and I'm looking for all the suggestions you have to help us get out of this. This is a tight one, y'all.
Well, it is an issue because, as some of you commented, we don't have, if we had a healthy fund balance or healthier fund balance, it might not be quite the issue. But you never, in my opinion, again, as a manager, is that you never want to just take stuff from your fund balance just to pay for something else. You need to be able to things like the town's growth that we're seeing are going to enhance, our tax base, which we really need, because that's the thing that funds the police department and public safety and some of our public works departments. And so we need that tax base to really help us out. And it will, but it takes a little bit of time. So I'm just saying that is an issue about, we can come up with $50,000, we can, but that's another 50,000 we're going to have to think about adding into the budget for next year. So just keep that in mind, in addition to really making the commitment to the other departments, which is going to be, which can be substantial at that point in time.
Well, we don't really need any action. I mean, there's no requested action at this time, is it? Tonight, we don't have to make a decision tonight. Is that correct?
No, you don't have to. I was just looking for guidance. If you all said, yes, we need to do this, absolutely. Or you're saying, yeah, we need to do it, but we got to figure out a way to finance it. Or no, not this time. We'll look at it next budget year or whatever. That's kind of what I was looking for from the board, how they'd like to handle that.
Well, my feeling is that we do need to look into the feasibility study and see how do we handle that and how do we finance it. I mean, it's all well and good that we're going to be growing and eventually we're going to be having, the funding come in, but we've got growing pains in the meantime. So, we need to protect our citizenry with our police force. And we also need to be able to supply the amenities that people need from our other, departments, whether it's sanitation, whether it's streets, whether it's electrical. I mean, we're going to be stretched thin until we start getting the revenue in that we are going to need to support this. So we really need to look at this across the board for all departments, but we also need to be cognizant of the fact that, we need community protection and we need a way in which to entice those who are interested in that type of position and also to be committed to protecting our community. That's my recommendation. And so I will leave it up to the rest of the board.
Is that your motion as well?
I would make that a motion. Yes, sir.
Can I get a second?
A second.
Okay. All in favor of the motion?
Well, we
Can I
got
ask
to
a question?
Madam Clerk.
Can I ask a
Yeah.
Go
question?
ahead, Madam Clerk. I'm sorry, who's that?
That's
Let me
Commissioner
just-
Langley. What
Okay.
is the motion?
She just made it. It's
That was a whole lot of-
extensive.
That was a
We'll
whole lot of
condense
stuff.
it,
I don't know
condense
the
it for
motion.
him, Commissioner Goff, if you don't mind.
The
Condense it
motion
for him.
is to do the study and also, to look into how we can facilitate, to facilitate being able to support our staff and our public, our police department or our safety personnel. And, also look, the motion is also to see how can we financially support the merit pay. So to do that universal study.
I think you got to be a little bit more specific because,
Suggestion?
well, I think that, you're saying that you're recommending that we do the study. Are you recommending that the town does the study internally? Are you recommending that the town hire somebody to do the study? If we do it internally, that's one thing, but if we have to hire somebody to do the study, we have to also know where you want the money to come from.
Okay.
So, and is this a study across the board that you're recommending? I just want to make sure that I get it right in the minutes so that we know exactly what it is y'all are asking us to do.
My recommendation is that we do an internal study, across the board for all departments, and to see how we can support financially the needs of all of our departments, and especially the immediate needs of those departments.
That work for you, sir?
Yes. And Commissioner Davis, do you still second that motion?
I do.
Thank you. Okay,
Okay,
so we'll do a roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem Mewburn,
Yes. I
Commissioner
second.
Goff,
I mean, I go along with it.
Commissioner Goff,
Yes.
Commissioner Langley,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross, Commissioner Ross, wave at me
On
if
mute.
you're yes.
Yes.
Okay, and Commissioner Davis.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, motion carries. Our next item up is the public hearing to consider submitting an application to the Division of Water Infrastructure for $1 million grant through the Community Development Block Grant Infrastructure, the CDBG program. Hold on one second. Let me pull up my business.
Rich Moore is here to present that, Mayor
Is
Pro
it?
Tem.
Yes.
Okay, that's cool. Okay, Mr. Moore.
All
Where are
right, thank you.
Yes, sir. How we doing?
Doing pretty good.
Good to see you.
Different environment. You know, I got a 85-pound furry child that wants to get on the camera too. So, but what we've got for your consideration is to, you know, and I guess what we need to do, this is going to be we're going to start out, we're going to do a public hearing that was advertised for consideration of input into a proposed application for community development block grant infrastructure funds. And what I've got in your package is an extract of what I'm going to go through that has to be recorded in your minutes. And then following that public hearing, after any comments or anything else, ask for consideration of an authorizing resolution. So going through, the purpose of the public hearing is to consider explanation and description of a proposed fiscal year 2021 Department of Environmental Quality Community Development Block Grant Infrastructure application. The purpose of the public hearing is to obtain citizens' comments or views to respond to the proposed funding proposal, answer any questions, regarding the project scope or any compliance before submittal of an application to the state of North Carolina. The town is going to propose to request funding from the CDBG infrastructure program for improvements that include rehabilitation of pump station number 1, which is at the Carmichael Mobile Home Park, and also replacement of the 40-year-old gravity sewer that exists on Club Drive and Ida Drive, which are the interior roads to the mobile home park. This is an area where we've got some inflow infiltration problems, and the pump station itself is located in the floodplain and is a problem. In the past has been a recurring expense because of flood damage that's been paid through insurance and FEMA activities. So rehabilitation is desired to try to protect it from future flood events. The proposed project meets the goals of the community development program guidelines, which include improving the quality of life for low to moderate income people, providing safe, clean environment for drinking water and sewer infrastructure improvements to benefit a residential area where at least 51% of the beneficiaries are low to moderate income as defined by the Department of Housing and Urban Development, which this area does, perform eligible activities, minimize displacement, and provide displacement assistance as necessary. And for this proposed scope, which involves just replacement of sewer collection lines and rehabilitation of the pump station, there will be no displacement of any residents. For the upcoming fiscal year 2021, community development block grant infrastructure funding is expected to be in the $20 to $22 million range, and the maximum available grant per applicant is $2 million over a 3-year period. Applications are currently proposed to be received by the state on September 30th of 2021. One of the keys to this is that in the past, the state has routinely had that $20 to $25 million available for infrastructure improvements. The town has been fortunate to have received, 3 community development block grant infrastructure projects funded in the past. Town is currently eligible to apply for up to $1 million at this point. one of the unknowns as we're going forward is that the current budget being considered by the state has some discrepancies between the House and the Senate versions of the bill. The Senate is essentially taking all of the infrastructure money and putting it back into housing. The House version kind of continues the allocation of money towards economic development and infrastructure. So there's got to be some reconciliation. We don't anticipate that to really be finalized until probably October, which is going to be after the application deadline. So we are recommending go ahead and pursuing this opportunity with the understanding that there could be $20 to $22 million available for distribution through this program. The CDBG infrastructure program can fund a wide variety of community development activities. The state has chosen to fund several activities, which include water and sewer infrastructure, neighborhood revitalization, COVID-19 related projects, and economic development projects that lead to job creation. The infrastructure program, or CDBGI, can fund a range of water and sewer infrastructure and economic development activities that limited to, but not for water, projects that resolve water loss, projects that extend public water to areas of contaminated wells, projects that extend water lines to areas of dry wells, to assist with low pressure, regionalize, or to rehabilitate or replace a water treatment plant. And for wastewater activities, eligible projects include those that resolve inflow and infiltration to collection systems and surcharge from pump stations and manholes, that extend public sewer to areas with failed septic tanks, and projects that rehabilitate wastewater treatment plant to allow for greater efficiency or compliance. Town is going to seek, and under our recommendation, a CDBGI funding application not to exceed $1 million. And that purpose of that project is, again, to rehabilitate the Carmichael Mobile Home Park pump station, which is pump station number 1, and replace the sewer lines on Club Drive and Ida Drive. A total of 100% of the funds, if allocated, will be used to benefit low, moderate income people. The project area has been determined to have a benefit greater than 51% low to moderate income based on income surveys. The range of the activities that are eligible for use of funds include construction, engineering report, environmental review process, design, construction, admin, observation, legal, surveying, and grant administration. And if the town is awarded a CDBGI grant, the town is required to adhere to federal procurement requirements and other federal regulations, which can include Americans with Disabilities Act, or Section 504, the Davis-Bacon and related labor acts, adoption, submittal of citizens participation plan, equal opportunity plan, fair housing plan, language access plan, relocation assistance plan, Section 3 plan, and excess force provision. Again, the town has all of those documents in place, but we are required to, explain that those plans will continue to be enforced, if the town is awarded additional funds. The state requires that if the town receives a CDBG grant, the town will certify they will comply with the requirements of the general displacement and relocation policy. And again, we're not going to displace. A lot of times, funds that are related to housing improvements do require temporary displacement of citizens while houses are worked on, but this program will be all infrastructure. And if no displacement and relocation will occur, then we're going to confirm that during the public hearing. So we're confirming it at this point. There is no relocation that will be a part of this project. In the past, the town has been successful in being awarded CDBG grants, not only through the Department of Commerce, but through the Division of Water Infrastructure, and has successfully implemented those programs. The town plans to submit the completed application to the Division of Water Infrastructure on or before September 30th of 2021. That application will be available for review at the normal business hours at the Ayden Town Hall. Additional information can be requested from the town clerk. And if anybody in the public has any grievances regarding any activities or any proposed scoping, we're asking that those should be addressed to the town clerk, and that upon receipt, we will make sure that any grievances or complaints are responded to within 10 business days upon receipt. And as a part of this public hearing, due to the timing where you will typically approve your minutes at your following meetings, which would be in October in this case. As a part of this public hearing, we are stating that the mayor is going to be allowed to authorize adoption specifically of the minutes of this public hearing. And so, this time I'll, certainly ask for any public comments or any general comments about the overall activities or proposed scope as it relates to application submittal.
Any questions for Mr. Moore? Mayor, you back? Like the mayor, he's not on.
He's on mute.
He's on mute. Okay. No one has it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I have a couple of things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just for clarification, okay? So this application is to be focused on the Carmichael MHP sewer pump station improvements, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's just for that area?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then explain to me what it means where it says will be used to benefit low to moderate income people. Well, if it's just for that area, is that for anyone within the area and the town when we're talking about low to moderate income? Kind of
right. What you
give me the Reader's Digest version of that.
Certainly. Yeah, what you've got is that the proposed activities are, there's a project map that's in your agenda package, which basically includes all of Club Drive and Lola Drive.
Exactly.
And all of the homes that are in there, or residential structures. And since the scope is confined to that particular target area, what we have done is perform door-to-door income surveys of the families that live along those specific roads. And in doing that, we have to verify that the low moderate income percentage exceeds 51% of the state, which is published for Pitt County. And really, to be honest, even though that 51% value is the threshold for being eligible, you're not going to get funded at 51%. You've got to find target areas that have low moderate income percentages in the 80 to 90%. And in this particular area, it's close to 100% low moderate income. So it really checks all of the boxes in terms of prioritization.
Okay. Is this section also extended to like Fawn Drive or over south of the Carmichael MHP toward what is that, 2nd Street?
There's a gravity sewer line outfall that extends over to 2nd Street and some of the communities, but we've focused on the sewer lines that are in for this application specifically for the Carmichael Home Park. So we did not include any proposed activities on 2nd Street or the secondary roads that exist over in that area. Mainly,
will it not affect those areas as well, though?
At some point it will, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Mr. Moore? If none, I need a motion on the recommendation to conduct a public hearing and to approve the resolution authorizing filing of the CDBG 1 grant application.
I so move.
Do I hear a second?
I make that motion.
Commissioner Goff, Ross seconded. Is that correct? Is she?
Second.
Oh.
Second.
You get her, Madam Clerk? You get the second?
Well, we have to open the public hearing first.
Okay. Does anybody want to speak? No? Okay. All right, public hearing is now closed. And I want to ask for a recommendation on the motion to conduct the public hearing and approve resolution authorizing filing of the CDBG 1 grant application. You want
I second Commissioner Goff's motion.
Okay. All right. Okay. Is it any further discussion? We have any further discussion on what's going on the recommendation? No. Okay. All in favor of the motion?
We'll have to do roll call. So, Mayor
We
Pro
on
Tem.
Zoom. I keep forgetting we on Zoom.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Mayor Pro
Yeah.
Tem Newbern,
Yes, I'm in favor of the motion. Yes.
Commissioner Goff,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Langley.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
I think that's everybody.
That's everybody. Motion carries. Okay, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Appreciate you taking over. I'm sorry I got disconnected. Next item is
problem.
consideration to approve and authorize execution of a promissory note for the 2016 sanitary sewer improvements project CS 370902-02. Mr. Manager or Joanne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think Joanne's going to take that one.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, sir. Good evening. How's everybody doing?
Good evening.
Presented in front of you, thank you, is a proposed promissory note. The town accepted a loan in the amount of $1,305,130, which $500,000 of that was forgiven for the Clean Water State Revolving Fund for the find and fix rehabilitation / replacement of aged sanitary sewer collection lines contributing to the inflow and infiltration, can't pronounce that word. The promissory note is in the amount of $351,467. And the principal is forgiven for 20 annual installments in the amount of $17,573.35 per year. Staff recommends approval of that.
Okay, what's any questions to the finance director? Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
I'd like to make a motion to the consideration to approve and authorize execution of the promissory note for 2016 sanitary sewer improvement project CS 370902-02.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem made the motion.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Langley. In discussion. Now, Joanne, we're gonna make an annual of $17,573. That's what we're paying back, right?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
All right, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
Commissioner Goff,
Yes.
Commissioner Langley,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is consideration to approve proposed ordinance 21-22-10. Amend the town's 21-22 budget ordinance, budget amendment number 2. Joanne?
Yes, sir. So the town received the CARES Act funds in last fiscal year. Those funds were not totally expensed. So we need to bring those funds over into the new year. Those are restricted funds for certain items. So we're requesting that those funds be brought into the new year so they can be expensed.
Okay, any questions? What's the pleasure?
The motion.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem,
Second.
second by Commissioner Goff. All right, Madam Clerk, roll call.
Mayor Pro Tem Newbern,
Yes.
Commissioner Goff,
Yes.
Commissioner Langley,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is consideration to approve proposed resolution 21-22-07, approving and authorize execution of financing documents with Southern Bank for the NC 102 sanitary line extension project. Joanne?
On February 14, 2020, the town entered into a sewer line installation and infrastructure agreement with AT Ventures Property LLC and Colonial Acre Farms LLC for the town to pay for the design, engineering, and construction of a gravity sanitary sewer line from an existing manhole located on NC 102 within the Ayden Golf and Country Club and provide sanitary sewer service to the Ventures and Smith properties. In February of this year, a request for proposal in the amount of $2 million was issued. The banks that submitted proposals for that were Southern Bank at 2.9% and Trust Bank at 1.89%. Those proposals expired So we came back to the board at the August 9th meeting, and the board voted for us to reissue the RFPs for this project. And the RFPs came in with Southern Bank with an interest rate of 2.09% and Trust Bank at 2.16%. So the staff is requesting that the resolution to issue the RFP to Southern Bank be approved. The resolution included in your agenda package actually has Trust Bank in it. For some reason, the document didn't say with Southern Bank in it, but the correct resolution has been presented to the town clerk and to Pam with Southern Bank. And if this is approved, the staff is going to have to go back and resubmit the application to the LGC because we're changing financial institutions.
Any question to the finance director? What's the pleasure?
Make a motion.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem, second by Commissioner Langley. Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Huber,
Yes.
Commissioner Goff,
Yes.
Commissioner Langley,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next item, thank you. Next item of water infrastructure, clean water state revolving fund application. Rich Moore.
Yes, and what this is a resubmittal of April application where we were requesting grant funds to, again, try to address the Carmichael Mobile Home Park pump station and the outfall sewer line that runs adjacent to Swift Creek to raise the manholes along that outfall line to prevent some of the flooding problems that we've observed in the past. And based on the April application, we had a review from the state. Our application was the second one not funded. And we are seeking funds through the Clean Water State Revolving Fund program. That is a loan program that has principal forgiveness built into it. The town is eligible for 100% principal forgiveness, but the most the state will allow in terms of distribution with regard to grant money, it's $500,000. And so that's why we've structured the scope to be $500,000, really take advantage to say we only want 100% grant in this particular scenario, and our scoping justifies it. The deficiency that was noted in our application in April was that the capital improvement plan and asset management plan didn't prioritize the improvements to the Carmichael Mobile Home Park pump station, and that's not correct. The capital improvement plan actually identifies the Carmichael Mobile Home Park pump station as #1 priority in town of unmet needs. And so we have restructured the explanation to point out that everything that's being proposed is identified in the town's prior capital improvement planning. And because of that, I think we've got a really good shot to get the $500,000 of grant money. So we are prepared to do a resubmittal. We're just asking for town consideration of the authorizing resolution. And I do point out that resolution has a lot of language in it saying loan, 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 loan. And but do point out that if awarded, it will be a loan, but it will be 100% forgiven. So there will be no debt service associated with this application if it is funded. So we are recommending approval of that resolution to authorize resubmittal of that application.
Any questions from the board? What's the pleasure?
Make a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Langley.
Yes.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Goff. Any discussion? Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Pro Tem Huber,
Yes.
Commissioner Goff,
Yes.
Commissioner Langley,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis.
Yes.
Next item is, thank you. Next item is noise ordinance, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What we have here is a situation where we've had complaints from residents about contractors or landlords working on the property well into the night hours, well past dark. And in researching the matter, we found that there was an exemption on these construction of so from the noise ordinance, people working on their house, like they could be working on the roof or whatever, banging in something, they're exempt from the noise ordinance. And so the recommendation from the chief, and he's going to elaborate on, and myself, is to change that to nothing after 9 p.m. Or even earlier, maybe, that these type of activities, outdoor activities on residential or commercial properties, cease and desist. That would be normally violations of our noise ordinance. So take away the exemption. Chief, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I was just going to, the only thing that I would maybe in whether you take it out or not, if they're, if it's a storm related emergency where they're working on like a roof or something, repairing something in the middle of the night, then that's understandable. But the vast majority of complaints that we've had is 10 up to 11 o'clock at night with generators, hammers, and saws running, and people's kids got to get up and go to school in the morning. They can't sleep because of this, and because of this exemption, there's nothing we can do to stop them.
Okay. This item for discussion. What's your recommendation, Mr. Manager?
Well, I think we should, in there, I've said that not have an exemption for those types of activities, and after, say, 9 p.m., they should be they should cease and desist. So we would put something in place, take the exemption out, so that those sounds above the noise ordinance threshold would be violations of our noise ordinance.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
may I say that I also have received calls from residents and constituents that have also voiced their same concern that, it's 9, 10, 11 o'clock, and there's, the nail guns and so forth, and the compressors and such, to which it, not only disturbs children that have to go to bed early because of school, but those that have to get up to go to work, those who may have health issues that, need to have a quieter environment. So, I agree with that. I wouldn't want somebody next door to me to have air nail guns and such, going on after 9 o'clock at night. And I would recommend this, except for, like Chief Forehand said, if we've got emergencies, hurricane, storm, flooding, things like that, I mean, that there is always an exception to the rule. But I think in general circumstances, we need to be more considerate of our neighborhoods.
I agree. So this is a north. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just want to check with the attorney and make sure that we can amend the ordinance without a public hearing.
This is police power. I don't think we need a public hearing for that, but I'd like to know what the attorney's.
Development, no public notice is required for this.
Yeah.
Okay, just want to verify.
But anytime it's development, you got to publish it.
So a public notice is needed, public hearing, or someone hearing?
No, I don't think we need one to amend an ordinance regarding construction. I mean, for noise, but you do for development. Anytime there's any like zoning or development, you always got to do public notice. But I think
this is the police power. You don't need a public hearing on that.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Do we make a motion or a recommendation?
I will make a motion, and so we can get this implemented.
I so move.
Motion made by Commissioner Goff.
Just so clear, is this a motion to remove the construction exception from the noise ordinance?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who seconded it?
Langley.
Commissioner Lane, thank you. In discussion, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
Commissioner Goff,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Commissioner Langley,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis.
Yes.
Next is information items, staff reports. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple things I wanted to point out, and I'm sure we got Tommy Duncan on the line. He wanted to talk about the grand opening for the dog park and seeing if you were available. I think, Tommy, we say October the 2nd. I guess maybe he's not on, but that is what he said. I think that's a Saturday.
He's on, he's muted, it looks like.
Okay, October 2nd.
What
Okay.
time?
Yes, sir. If you can hear me.
We got you,
October-
Tommy. We wanted to know what time you were recommending on October the 2nd for the dog park grand opening.
10 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Okay. Y'all good with that?
I am.
I will be out of town, but please go ahead without me.
Good.
Anyone else?
Good with that?
Okay.
Good.
Okay, let's do it then, October 2nd. 10 a.m. Any other any other staff reports, Mr. Manager?
No, sir, that's it, Mr. Mayor.
Any questions from the board to the staff?
The renovation of the Ayden Arts and Recreation Center gym. I appreciate the work that's been done on that. Tommy, I think you and your team has done a great job overseeing what's going on, man. And it's been a long time coming. And we appreciate it. And I'm quite sure our kids will appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. On that note, we would like to invite each of y'all over there one at a time.
Okay.
Anything going on, and give you a tour and let you see all the work that was done if you hadn't been already over there and seen it.
Okay.
Okay. We'll do it.
All right.
Any other comments, staff reports?
I have one.
Okay.
And the manager and I had this conversation before. The sewer collection system is really, as you well know, hitting us. I would like for the manager to bring the board members up to speed on what we're doing. I know what we've done in the past, and we haven't had anything to work, man, for us, and we're paying too much money. You know, we're paying. Just bring them up if you would, Mr. Manager, to speed.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. One of the things what we're doing is, and Rich is helping us with this, with these projects like the Carmichael one and some of these other ones that are going to help reduce the inflow and infiltration. But I really want to take a fresh approach to this. So we're meeting with the Wooten Company. I think it's Joanne, is it this week? Or next Tuesday? I'm not really sure, but we're meeting with the Wooten Company.
It's this Tuesday.
Okay, so it's tomorrow. And
Yes, sir.
we're gonna really kind of set out a game plan on how to best attack this, because while we can't replace all the lines that are aged, we can certainly find, I think, with more, better than what we've done, and get those areas repaired that are the most problematic. So I'm looking to them to help us a lot, and have Rich kind of help us as well. And I've been talking to Rich about this as a major priority. He knows about it. You guys know about it. You've been working on it for a long time. Why we've made some success. Why we haven't got there yet, I don't know, but we're gonna make it and continue to use. That's why I suggested we use the rescue plan funding to attack this issue, because the more money we can save by not having to treat stormwater flowing into our sewer system, the better off the residents are, because and the more capacity we keep at the plant instead of treating stormwater.
Okay.
Is
Thank you,
part,
Mayor.
is part of the program with the Wooten Company and Rich Moore, are we looking at part of that is updating our GIS to show what work we have actually done?
Yeah, we have some of that data already. I think the biggest thing that we want to look at, because we've had some companies come in and do electro scans, we've done smoke testing in the past, and I really want to pick the Wooten Company's brain as to, they've successfully solved this problem in other jurisdictions, and I'm very familiar with some of the things that they've done. And also they're the consultant or engineer for the CMSD. So I'm putting them sort of like in the driver's seat to say, stop this problem. We're talking about the issues that we're having, and when you guys are there in the meetings, you see that we're the largest contributor to the plan, and it really shouldn't be that way. So I'm looking for them to guide us really on this one.
Okay. Keep us posted.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other questions to the staff?
I just have one comment. This may not be the appropriate time, but I wanted to get it before we got into, I guess, the board comments. Are we there now?
Yes, we fine.
Okay. I wanted to comment on our UDO that we adopted in January of 2020 and that was last amended on October of 2020. I had a meeting with the town manager last month, approximately the 11th of August, about a change that was done to our UDO. And again, I went through the UDO, but I did not catch this or did not see this. So it kind of took me by surprise. And when I questioned the town manager as well as Mr. Smith, Stephen Smith, about how this came into our UDO, the explanation I was given basically is that Stewart, the company that redid our UDO, use either templates or something that other municipals or towns and cities had done in the past. And it's in reference to Article 8, paragraph 5B, item 2, that says if the planning board recommends against such amendment, for instance, anything that the planning board recommends or votes against or doesn't approve, their vote is based on a majority of their vote. When it comes to the Board of Commissioners, which I feel that we, based on the way the boards are set up, we appoint the planning board, and the Board of Commissioners are elected by the people of this town. It states that if we as a governing board do not agree with the planning board, instead of a majority vote, which we've always exercised in the past, we are put to a 3/4 or 4/5 requirement, which is close to a majority, to reverse a decision of the planning board. And I just felt that the way we've done it in the past is a majority of the Board of Commissioners. And I was looking at possibility, is that something that the other commissioners have looked at and get an idea of what they think about that? Because I'm recommending that we go back to a majority, not a 4/5 or 3/4 vote based on the amount of commissioners that are at the meeting. That's all.
I recommend the same. I agree totally with Commissioner Langley. It appears what we've done, like he suggested, that the voting citizens have given us the power to do what we do, and it appears that to do it the way it was recently done is like a power shift. And you can look at the way our town is laid out. We are the power, and it's wrong to relinquish that kind of power to the planning board. I respect everything that no, I take that back. I don't respect everything that they do, but I respect a lot of things that they do. But when it comes down to decisions, we are voted by the people we serve to make those tough decisions. And if we're gonna let the planning board have the final say, what good are we sitting where we sit? And I totally agree with Commissioner Raymond Lang.
Okay. Mr. Manager, are you very aware of this conversation? I guess you are. Commissioner Lang said he spoke to you.
Yes, sir, I am. I think it's just more the prototypical type of, there's no necessarily, I'd have to defer to Stephen on this, but that's just what you see in a lot of the language around that with those types of decisions. I guess it's a trend going in that direction. I don't know. I defer to Stephen on that.
Yeah, I think that's what we saw when the UDO was created. But with that in mind, if the town board wants to go a different direction and have that amended, then that's definitely, you know, in your court at this time. You know, if you want us to look at amending the ordinance, we'd be glad to do so. Just need some direction from the board.
I think it should be amended based upon Commissioner Langley's recommendation or motion for, or if that's what he was doing.
So could we do this? Could we bring this up as an action item next meeting and have conversation about, look at the pros and cons about changing? I think, you know, that would be very helpful.
Yeah,
I think that'll be a waste of time, Mr. Mayor, out of all due respect.
In what regards?
We can do, we have the power to do what we're granted to do tonight. And that's another thing about our governing board. Even when citizens come up to us and make suggestions, we keep delaying, putting off things, just like a little off subject, but just like I asked you about the South End agenda, that was supposed to have been a serious issue, and that's been pushed back. I say, let's move forward as a governing board that the people can depend on and take care of this now.
You can't make a change to the zoning and stuff, an amendment to that without a public hearing. So you would have to do a public hearing.
Well, do whatever we need to do. We need to do it as expeditiously as possible, just like some of the other things we've been dragging our feet on.
Well, Mayor Pro Tem, I appreciate your opinion and observation, but I think there is a process should be done correctly. That input that we all want our citizens to have to change ordinance should be there, and an input of, you know, conversation that I would love to be understanding what's about to make sure I make the right decision, then make a decision like that in one night. I think the fairness to all of us should have that information. So that is, I think it's the right way of doing. I think the process is in place.
I'm not kicking against the process. What I'm
trying,
saying, let's get it done. That's what I'm saying.
I don't think no one's trying to delay anything. I think we're trying to do the right process. I think, you know, this board should be one of public input. Next item. Anything else?
No, I don't think that's it.
All right, we're gonna go to commissioners' comments then. Commissioner Davis.
I've got a question for the other four commissioners. I would like to know, have any of y'all received an anonymous letter in the mail recently?
Commissioner, I think what you're going to allude to is going to pertain to kind of a personnel matter, which would need to be in closed session.
Well, I'm just referring to the letter. I ain't missing no name.
Okay, well.
It just.
Well, the thing of it is, Mr. Attorney, if we need to go in closed sessions, if it's possible, that's what we need to do. We need to start nipping stuff in the bud instead of just delaying and laying, because if we're going to be a progressive community, we got to change our steps. We got to change our walk to benefit the citizens of this town and the employees of this town.
Because the letter I received, it really is putting the town of Ayden in a bad light. Guys, I mean, I don't put too much importance in because the guy didn't sign. There's no name to it, but it's about a page and a half, and he's really saying some bad things about the town of Ayden, and in particular, one of our employees. And I'll just leave it at that.
Well, again, if you guys want to discuss that, that's fine, but I would suggest that be done in closed session.
And I think that's correct. I think that's correct.
Mr. Attorney?
Yes.
Is it possible to do that tonight?
Absolutely. Would you like me to, if there's a consensus by the board?
Yes, sir.
Take the motion.
Yes, sir. I want to get it nipped in the bud. And in addition to that, I don't know how true it is, but I feel that a threat has been made on my life by one of our employees, and we really need to start moving on stuff.
Okay.
I'm telling you.
At this time, we'll be moving towards closed session pursuant.
Wait a minute. That is not what we're going to do right now. We're going to go through board's comments, and then we'll go to closed sessions.
I apologize.
That's fine. That's fine.
I think we're with Commissioner Davis. Anything else, Commissioner Davis?
No, I'm good.
We also have to have a motion and a second to go into closed session because it was not on the agenda, so we can't just go in.
I was just gonna state the grounds.
Okay, let's go through public hearings first and we'll get the protocols for going closed session. Commissioner Ross.
Yes, just thank everyone for tuning in, and also our employees and our police officers, and I'd like to invite everyone to come out to the Pitt County Fair, September 21st through 26th, which is next week. Look forward to seeing you there. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Commissioner Langley.
I appreciate everyone that attended tonight's meeting, and also the public comments that were made. I do know that we've got things in our town that we have ordinances on, and you know, that some of them have been out there for a long time, and you know, they're brought to our attention. And then sometimes if there's changes have to be made, of course, we need to adapt to those changes. And what I'm referring to, the parking issue or for the residents that live above their buildings. So, and I appreciate all the other commissioners, and I really enjoyed the Collar Festival. I think they did a great job. Even though it was a short festival, I really think we had a great turnout, and everybody be safe.
Thank you, Commissioner Lane, for the compliment. Commissioner Goff.
I'll just reiterate what Commissioner Langley and Commissioner Ross have said. Appreciate everybody's input tonight. I thought the Collar Festival was very well attended, and for it to be such a short period of time, it was really, really good. The parade was good. So everyone who worked on that, kudos to them. And also, I really appreciate everything that the town, with the board and the staff are doing. You know, we're having growing pains. We are working hard to make sure that our town grows in the right direction. And I just want to say, I, for one, sincerely appreciate all the hard work. So thank you to everyone.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I want to give a special shout out to everybody for taking time out of their busy schedule to zoom in on us and pray for us. We're not beyond prayer. We're getting in some territory now, which is new territory. And I agree with the growing pains. Pains do come when we try to grow. I'm wondering, Mr. Attorney, I had mentioned earlier during the meeting to the mayor about the South Ayden agenda. Are we going to take that into closed session, or is that something that needs to be discussed before we go into closed session? Because it's a very hot item for this time.
Yes, and in regards to that, Mayor Pro Tem, you direct that question to me, and so I was going to use that in my comments.
Okay, well, I didn't know that. I can't read your mind. I didn't know that. So I appreciate you addressing. I'm done.
So to me, you done? Okay. First of all, I want to take time out and recognize the Collar Festival Committee and the hard work they did. They started a process in April, and they didn't have the volunteers they need to really make an effective Collar Festival, and they utilized the resource they got to do it. They asked volunteers, and unfortunately, we got some, but I would say that I'm very grateful for the festival and what they did. They bring in a great economic development over 2 days. They bring good marketing skills into our town. If those who attended, I don't know who attended, which, you know, I did attend and participate in those activities and had opportunity to greet a lot of people who don't live in the town. I think that's what's important. And to understand what the value of town is, the hope is to be a future citizen. So the marketability of it is very well intended. Very grateful to Henry Hint and his show being there on Friday morning. I think he got a lot of recognition. I know that Quilt Lissy was very complimentary, and those people participated per se. So Collar Festival Committee, thank you. Totally. I'll also take time out to thank the town employees during the festival, police department, and our people who helped clean up. They did a fabulous job. The manager and Sarah did a good job. Our cleanup team, all police officers, well safe, encompassing group of folks. So very appreciative of that, and they did work hard. made town very good impression. The police officer presence was very noted and created a differential, I think, of other festivals that we have that security, etc. The band closed at 11 o'clock, and at 11:15, 11:30, the whole town was cleared out in the festival area, which is very kudos. The Rise did very well. Our art show did very well. Very proud of our art show. Over 200 exhibits or more was presented at that time, considering that it was a short term starting April, May, and June of getting art in. So again, it is highlights the town of the great things we do here. So I'm very appreciative of the Collar Festival and what it does for the town. Like 47 years is a long time, and they did that per se. In regards to opportunities in our town, I think, the section that the Mayor Pro Tem is talking about, and about being progressive, I think the town is progressive in many ways and done a lot of good things for opportunity for the town of Ayden in many sectors, in many different parts of the town. So the progressiveness, I do not apologize for. I think we are progressive. Can we be more progressive? Can we improve? Absolutely. I would not disagree with that. But I think, we tried hard as we can to make things happen. So I'll give you, for example, this past month, we did a ribbon cut in IGA to bring in a nice facility to help that community. They bring education. It could bring in mentorship. Can bring in opportunity for those who need help in skill sets, job hunting, education, family gatherers, etc. I think the scope of that project is well laid out there. It's something that I recognize that we need to do. And I did talk to Mayor Pro Tem about the IGA store initially when Manager Harold was here. And I think that we identified that that's one bill that we need to get. Thanks to Nicole and how it started, we got it. So very appreciative of that. We've done a lot of CBD grant work in that area, and that needs more work done. And we talk about that. And I'll have to get back.
Was it a parade going on or something? What's going on?
Are we gonna go in a closed session?
I think he wanted us to wait briefly.
Man,
Is
I was
something
watching
wrong?
the football game.
I couldn't tell what was going on.
Must be sick.
I hope he's okay.
He's coming back.
Yeah, okay.
My phone got it's out of use.
I think his battery's running low. He has to plug in.
Oh, okay.
So give me a second. I'll get plugged up.
The football game will be going on pretty soon.
So much for technology, huh?
Yeah. Where's his computer at?
Computer age, hello.
Yeah.
We gave everybody one.
Oh, boy.
I would like to have him to read that letter.
And so I'm sorry, I've got to disconnect. My phone battery went dead, so I had to replug it up. And so, the CBD grant money we done in there. And I think, just recently, just talked about it, is the rim cut for the gym, which is going to be beneficial to that area also. So there's things that we have done or doing and just recently. That's not talking about long term. But with that said, Mayor Pro Tem and the board, I think we do have opportunity to help that area even more so. And so what I like to do is we'll form a committee to look at it. And so I'll get that together to move forward. I apologize that it's not as expedited as I wanted to be, but my time the last 2 weeks has been really focused on, on the Collar Festival because we, again, run behind. But that's not mean that this project is more valuable than Collar Festival. No, it's just a time and other project of the festival. So we'll get a group together. Mayor Pro Tem, I'll give you contacts if anybody you want to recommend and set scope of work, Mr. Manager, in regards to that. If it's the time frame is behind schedule, I apologize, and we'll get it back where you need to be, Mr. and for the board. My other comments, I do want to say thank you to all of you. I think it's great input. I think the town has done very well. We got things that we can improve on. But I would say that sometimes we need to be grateful for what we got and be appreciative
Whoa.
and feel blessed. And to me, I think it's about, to me, that's what I look at. It's what can we be grateful to what we got and move forward. And so those things I mentioned, I think I'm very grateful for and moving forward. So, Mr. Attorney, we need to go in closed session. How do we?
No. Wait a minute, Mr. Mayor. I don't want you to. It sounds like you're sounding like we are not on this end of town not grateful. We are grateful for what we have, but we will be more grateful if we have what we deserve. Now, I got to be honest with you, Ben. You went there, and I'm going to address this. The diversity in this town makes a difference. It makes a difference. We had directors before Ms. Nicole come, and you and I talked about this IGA thing, like you said. But see, when you have a diverse board and all of this good stuff, man, we can do things. All of these years, we've really had no progress down there, you know. And I'm just honest, and you know I'm honest. And it makes a difference that we reach out to people who we have excluded. If we're going to be the #1 town and we reach out, but we haven't reached out like we're supposed to. And it's been a long time coming, the development down on this, and we haven't gotten there yet. But I want to thank you for joining in with us. I want to thank you for thinking about the committee, but I have to keep everything real. We got to get busy down here too. We're busy everywhere else. Out at the golf club and all that stuff, man. We got, when we pray for Ayden, we have to include all of Ayden. And when you said, I don't know exactly what you meant, but it sounded like you were saying we need to be grateful for what we have already. And if that is the case, with all due respect, Mr. Mayor, I'm offended. If that's what you meant. Now, I could have read it wrong, but if that's what you meant, I'm offended.
Mayor Pro Tem, I think you choosing words now, and that's unfortunate.
I ain't choosing no word. That's what you said. We should be grateful. Who you talk? You just got through talking about South Ayden. Are you saying South Ayden should be grateful?
I think we should be grateful totally.
No, you want to give crumbs here in Ayden, and I refuse to accept those crumbs. Period.
No.
Don't you never forget that. Don't you never forget that.
No, Mayor Pro Tem, you cannot put words in my mouth.
That's what you said, Steve.
No, sir.
Everybody heard you say.
I'm not going.
You said we should be grateful. You were talking about South Ayden, and you said we should be grateful for what we have.
We should.
That's demeaning to every one of us down here. If you didn't know, it's 2021. You need to cut this craziness out, man, and treat people like you want to be treated.
I
meant what I said. I meant what I said.
Well,
it's time out for this old stuff you doing, man.
You're wrong. So, Mr. Attorney, please go to closed session. Again, I'm not going to argue with you.
You don't have to argue. It came out of your mouth, and it came from your heart. That's why it came out of your mouth.
All right.
We need a motion to amend the agenda to add a closed session item. First of all, before we can motion to go into closed session.
We go into closed session.
No, that's not what I need. I'm sorry. I need a motion to add a closed session item to the agenda.
So moved.
So moved.
A second. Need a second.
I got it. Mewburn and Ross. That's fine. Okay, now Scott.
This time we'll be moving to